Well, hello, hello. Good morning. Well, it's good morning here in California. Good morning, good evening, and good evening or good night, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone around the globe, around the world who's following my channel here. So thank you very much. For those who are new here, please do not forget to subscribe, click like, and share this channel. Anyway, today we got Cosmic Ray back to talk about his fifth book. Well, it's not in order, guys. But this is the third interview I'm doing with him. He has written about seven books so far, and number eight book is coming up. But this is the third interview we're talking. But this book is gonna be number five, and the book's name is Lady. Can you repeat that again?
Columba Venus Revelations.
There you go. So welcome, Ray. How are you? Cosmic Ray. That's what his nickname. We called him. Dr.
Oh,
Raymond.
fine. Thank you, Tina. And hello, all friends of the show and friends of Venus. Thank you for tuning in today.
Thank you. Yes. So let's begin with this book and why you want to talk about this, book. There's a reason you chose this as a third one. So.
All right. Yes, it's about a Greensburg, Pennsylvania woman who travels through space and time.
Wow.
The title of the book is Lady Columba Venus Revelations, and it's published by Headline Books in Terra Alta, West Virginia. There's also an audio book available of Lady Columba, narrated by Terry Springs. She's the weather woman on the CBS television affiliate in Las Vegas. So that's available for those who have access to Amazon audiobooks. And the Kindle, I believe, is what it is. So that is available. Just go to Amazon, just type in Lady Columba, and it will give you access to both of them.
To make it easy, I will also put the link in the description. So I put actually all his interview, I put the link to all his books, all the seven books that he has written. So any books that you would like to get, you can go there quickly, click one link and you go there. I like that they have the audiobooks because some people just like to listen much better.
Oh, yes.
Especially for me. Yeah.
It is very popular. I think it's number 78.
What makes it popular now?
Well, it's much different from any typical UFO book that you might see. It reads actually more like a novel. It's very engaging. It's about a woman from Pennsylvania, was born in 1902. She travels with a group of extraterrestrials and a Soviet cosmonaut back in the late 1950s and early 1960s.
Mm.
In the course of researching the book, I obtained all of Annabelle's notes describing her experiences, along with her original artwork. She was a professional artist and illustrator. And I organized all the material, updated and footnoted everything in the process, and was able to produce this very unique account of her extraterrestrial encounters that took place between 1957 and 1961.
Mm. So let me ask you, you met this person in person, correct, Cosmic Ray?
Oh, yes.
How did you meet her? And yeah, this is fascinating to actually meet a person in real life.
Yes, this took place at a UFO meeting, a small metaphysical flying saucer club up in the northwest corner of Pennsylvania, out in the woods. And she and a gentleman had appeared along with a friend of hers, Lady Aurora, and just came into the meeting to see what was going on and to help inaugurate my second book, This was back in 2017. My second book, The Final Countdown, Rockets to Venus, was being introduced.
Wow, wow. So tell us more about her. I mean, what is what's in the book that you would like the audience to know about her? You're talking about time traveling, because this is like very fascinating topic as well when it
Oh,
comes to time
thank you,
traveling.
Tina.
Yes.
Yes, well, what's interesting about Annabelle Krebs, AKA Lady Columba, was that she was one of many of the female contactees um, that had encounters, but they don't get any attention. It's mostly the males during that time that got all the attention. George Adamski, Truman Bethurem, Howard Menger, etc. But people like Annabelle Krebs, um, Dana Howard, Gloria Lee, nobody's ever heard of these people, and
Yeah.
and it's part of my mission to bring their story to light.
Now, may I ask, you as a historian, what sort of evidence that you have that she's had time travel and she's, contactee?
Well, she provided many illustrations of her experiences, which have been um, uh, lost to time, but now revealed, that validate many of the things that contactees are saying to today and space scientists. And she wrote about it in her book and illustrated everything that she saw about the moon and other planets in our solar system. Uh, Her adventures with the ETs began in 1954 when she read a book by the contactee Truman Bethurem, a gentleman from Redondo Beach in California, about his contact with space aliens from a secret base called Clarion on the far side of the moon. Truman's book was titled Aboard a Flying Saucer, and Annabelle couldn't put it down. She became obsessed with the volume and just packed her bags and left her home in Pennsylvania to move out to California. What she did was she rented a home near Joshua Tree National Park so she could be close to Truman Bethurem, and other contactees. Those are the people that claim to have experiences with the UFO occupants. And she went there to assist them in the important work of disseminating the messages of peace and a better way of life for all of us on the planet Earth, as our brothers and sisters from outer space have taught us. Now, every year, the contactees in Southern California would gather at the nearby town of Landers for the famous interplanetary spacecraft convention that was held at the Giant Rock Airport. That was about 17 miles northeast of Yucca Valley. And these were the first of the flying saucer conventions. They were run by an airplane mechanic and a good friend of Howard Hughes named George Van Tassel, who is also numbered among the contactees. George had his first encounter in the Mojave Desert with a Venusian saucer pilot named Solganda, who instructed him how to build a type of rejuvenation chamber and a time machine that he called the Integratron. And so Annabelle became acquainted with most of these contactees, and many of them would come out. They'd visit her at her desert home. And being so inspired by Truman Bethurem, she turned the inside of her home into a literal cosmic shrine. She filled it with symbolic paintings of high spiritual meaning, with fluorescent colors. They glowed under ultraviolet lighting on deep purple walls and the ceiling. And she likened this to falling asleep amidst the twinkling stars and twirling galaxies. So of all the contactees, Annabelle noted that I strongly believe Truman Betham's account of meeting some extraterrestrials out on the Mormon Mesa that's across the state line in Nevada, and dearly hope that one day I might share in a similar encounter. So this was her experiences initially with the other contactees, especially Truman Betham.
Wow. So what planet has she traveled to, and or which race of ET has contacted her first?
Okay, well, her first experience with extraterrestrials began on the night of the 16th of January of 1957. Then a Venusian observation ranger named Vorton beamed her up into a mothership. So for the next 4.5 years, Annabelle stayed with Vorton and the crew of the mothership. She went to explore bases on floating islands out over the ocean that were invisible to most humans, other bases in vast underground caverns, undersea bases, and she even went to the far side of the moon and visited other planets in the solar system. So all along the way, she was making many new extraterrestrial friends while working with them on these daring missions that involve time travel and traversing interdimensional rifts. She also befriended a Russian cosmonaut working with a secret Soviet space program and ended up assisting him in some unusual and unforeseen ways. They had a unique cross-cultural love affair, and that's written up in the book too. That's why I say it's not a typical UFO book.
Now, let me ask, is she still alive at this moment?
Yes, she is alive, and she actually had her DNA extracted from her in an old age in the late 90s, and she had a new body reconstituted from stem cells, and her consciousness was downloaded into a kind of machine. And then when the body was ready, that her consciousness was implanted into the new body, and so she was given a prestigious position with the hierarchy of light in the Confederation of Planets. That's an intergalactic organization. It encompasses some 601 worlds from 51 solar systems.
Wow.
She and the Russian, they came back to Earth. They landed on the outskirts of a small central Ohio town in late 1961, Nadahatton, Ohio, in central East Ohio, where with the help of a member of a Cleveland UFO club, they made their way north to Cleveland for yet further adventures. And all that's documented in the book as well.
Wow, you mentioned she has a new body and they downloaded her consciousness. Did I hear that correct?
Yes, that's right. That's
Because
right.
I don't know if you heard of this movie. I'm not sure if it's on Amazon or Netflix. Carbon Copy. That's kind of remind me of that movie. That they get the new body and they downloaded the consciousness into the body. I just thought, wow, that could be a possibility in the future of humankind. But it sounds like it's already happened.
Oh yes. They create a pattern of the human body based from the DNA, and they're able to do that with advanced technology.
So you're saying that this technology does exist right now?
Yes, it exists, and many people on Earth have undergone it, the process, and she did drawings of it, and provided information about this process in the book.
Wow. So the new body, is that is she a younger body? Is that what it is?
Oh, yes, I'll show you a picture of it if you'd like to
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
see
definitely.
one.
Even though this talk is also on the podcast, but I'm really intrigued to see the picture as well. But for those of you who are listening on a podcast, you may as well grab his books. Number 5, Lady Lambada. Did I pronounce it right, Ray?
Yes, Lady Columba.
Oh, Columba. There you go. I call her slightly different. Lady Columba, you can actually get to see the picture of her new body. Because this is
I'm going
kind
to
of
try to bring it up here. Let's see if
on
I can do that.
yeah, on the share button, you can do that. So that's fascinating. Now,
Uh,
earlier you also mentioned about the 51 solar system. Oh,
okay,
okay.
is a picture up?
Yeah, this is a picture of Lady Columba, Venus. Is she a
Okay.
Venusian? Is she a Venusian,
Uh,
Ray?
yes, she learned that she was a Venusian on prior incarnations, and so it was her last incarnation on the Earth plane, and she was being prepared to go back home and to work with the Venusians and others in the Galactic uh, Federation.
I see. So this is her last incarnation. Interesting. That's what a lot of people talk about. Okay.
So here's an illustration of Lady Columba in space with her friend, the Russian.
Yeah, the guy over there. Mhm.
And this is the what I was talking about of her waking up. When she woke up in her new body, it was on the far side of the moon, on a space base called Clarion. Now, when she first visited Clarion, she did this picture of the process, and this appears with some of her other artwork at the University of Arizona at Tucson.
Mhm. That's a very beautiful artwork, actually. I love the color.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's really great.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things is that of the philosophies of the Venusians is best um, embodied in this quote: "What you think you can become, and what you feel you attract, and what you imagine you create." So
That's
this is something that Lady Columba learned by living and working among the Venusians and other extraterrestrials, is that they believe strongly in the power of reconstructing ourselves, that we can become anything we want to be if we put our mind and our effort into it.
and this is quote by Buddha. Is Buddha a Venetian as well?
Well, it's interesting about the Buddha is when he was sitting under the Bodhi tree.
Yes.
As the story goes, he was contemplating the rising of the morning star,
Yes.
which is Venus. And
Ah. Mhm.
so
That-
there's a definite connection there between all of these religious leaders. Even
yeah.
Jesus, in Revelation 22, verse 16, he identifies with the bright and morning star.
So that's a Venus.
Yes, there's a definite connection between religious leaders and the planet Venus, and high spiritual teachings that come
Mhm.
from the oceans.
Now, do you feel okay? That's beautiful. Do you feel that all the religious leaders, like such as Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddhas, and Muhammad, just a few example, or even in India cultures like Kali, Shiva, all of them are extraterrestrial coming from a different star system, right?
Yes, I believe that they're teachers or avatars that were sent to our world to help us consciously evolve and to prepare our minds for a higher reality, a better reality.
Okay, great. Now you got this picture pulled up here. And what is this one?
Okay, this is one of the many island cities that are floating around the earth that are invisible.
Wow.
And Annabelle was invited aboard one of these floating cities, and she was taken on a tour. She also saw them save a pilot in distress and pull him onto this island with a tractor beam, and it's all described in the book.
Wow, you know what? This kind of remind me, okay, this picture is actually fascinating to me. Why? Because below looks like a city. Maybe this is like our city. But if we look up, we may see this as a spaceship. And this spaceship is like a container of another city on island. Is that what it
Oh
is to
yes,
you? Right?
no, that
But
yeah,
we
you're right.
can't see it. Yeah.
You're right, and many people can see it with spiritual eyes if they're awakened. They can see it. There was recently out of Western China some pictures that emerged of a floating city in the clouds. It was decloaked for only a little bit of time. Some said it was the Shambhala, the
Wow.
Shambhala.
So now this would make sense to me when people talk about going back home or taking up to the space. This could be a representation of like 5D or a higher realities. But
Oh,
we
oh
see
yes,
it, right? We would see it as a spaceship, which is huge,
right,
but they're just a different reality that we cannot see with our own physical eyes.
right.
Correct?
It's in a much higher vibrational frequency.
Wow. This is
So on Venus and other planets, they have floating cities. There are perpetual hurricanes over the north and south poles of Venus.
uh-huh.
There, there are floating cities that are hidden in the clouds as well. And here's an artist's conception of what they look like.
This is fascinating, Ray, because so this is like right above the cloud and they're floating, correct?
Yes, she was saying that Lady Columba was saying that on Venus that the planet has a natural temperature regulating air conditioning system with these
Mhm.
hurricanes over the poles that circulate the air all around Venus to keep it cool at all times.
Wow, this is absolutely fascinating. And it does make sense, to I mean, trying for us to kind of understand and perceive what fifth dimension or above would be like, or in a
Yes.
different constellation or planet. I mean, that kind of remind me, like the movies. There's a lot of movies that kind of create a floating city just kind of like that. And actually, in reality, these movies are the projection that were written by someone like her who saw city like this.
Oh yes. A lot of what passes for science fiction is actually based
Yeah.
on science fact. We could take a lot of examples out of history. For example, in Gulliver's Travels, he writes about Mars having two moons, two small moons. And of course, Mars does have two small moons. Jules Verne wrote about the first rocket to the moon. He said it would be launched from Florida in the United States. And he was at 200 pounds off on the weight of the rocket, which is, the weight of one astronaut.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just amazing that how do these people know this stuff? Because they're actually tuned in to a higher frequency. They're getting glimpses of future realities.
I mean, I would assume that would be the only way for them to get this information and knowledge, though. I mean, telescope or like, the space aircraft would not be able to get all these images. like that. That's almost impossible. So,
Yeah.
and
So
who is this?
this is from a movie called This Island Earth, and that was the pilot named Exeter. But the reason that I put his picture there is because the picture that Lady Columba drew of Vorton that we'll see later looks very much like this character from the movie.
Oh, wow. Now, you mentioned a lot about the moons, why the moons are important um, in relation to the Earth. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about moon. Moons seem to play a significant role on Earth. That's what I felt. New moon, full moon, we always follow the moon. The indigenous follow the moon, you know? So do you know anything about that? Why moon and why there's more than one moon? There seem to be so many moons in the cosmic, in the universe.
Oh yes. Well, the creation of moons or the capture of moons around planets is commonplace throughout the universe. We now know through the Kepler space probe that there are in our local arm of the Milky Way galaxy, there are literally thousands of other planets, many of them just like the Earth, and most of them have moons around them. They have natural satellites or moons.
Mhm.
And even little Pluto at the edge of the solar system has 5 moons of its own. Saturn, I think, Saturn has the most moons. It has 62 moons around it.
Wow. So,
These are little systems in themselves.
okay. And what is the energy of the moon in relation to each planet there? I mean, for example, like Earth, you know? And also because of, I said, there seemed to be such a strong connection to the moon with the humans. And there's been a lot of talk.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, perhaps if it wasn't for the tidal forces of the moon, life wouldn't have evolved on Earth, at least as we know it. So that's very important. And the moon has been a significant outpost for extraterrestrials to observe the Earth without interfering directly, and for carrying on operations that pertain to the Earth and its inhabitants, i.e. ourselves. So the moon serves as a space platform for the Venusians and other extraterrestrials. Now, when they live for a long time on the moon, and they and their descendants, they lose the color of their skin. They take on a kind of blue, a light blue coloring. And so I've have illustrations and descriptions from Annabelle Krebs about all of that in the book as well. She takes us on a tour of the moon base Clarion, and we learn about all the marvels of technology and all the wonders of Venusian science that are on the moon base Clarion in the book.
Wow. Now, so she's Venusian. So the planet Venus, is that what is important to the Venusian? Is that what it is?
Yes, yes. So the Venusians are in charge of the moon base. And of course, since they're members of an intergalactic confederation of 600 other worlds from 51 solar systems, you can imagine that the moon base is a very busy place. A lot of activities going on there with different types of ETs. And it's all described by her in the Lady Columba Venus Revelations book.
Would that be something like International Airport?
Yeah, interplanetary spaceport.
Right. Isn't that
Would be a good way to describe it. Let me see if I could find some of the pictures from the moon. that you could see.
Awesome.
And
So you mentioned a couple times about 51 solar system. Can you kind of like elaborate a little bit more about that? I mean, is it like a different universe, 51 of them with
oh yes. Well, I can tell you that all of the moons and planets of the solar system are inhabited, if not with indigenous life, then life that was brought there from other planets in the Confederation or other planets from beyond our solar system. For example, on Venus, the original, the indigenous life is a kind of bee, a very large kind of honeybee. But the humanoid life comes on Venus comes from a planet called Norca in the Tau Ceti star system. So here is, let me go to see if I can bring up some pictures of the moon.
Mhm. Well, for those who are listening on a podcast here, you definitely have to grab this book because the images he showed earlier of the floating city, and to me, it looks like a space aircraft when we're looking up from the Earth view. And I just got this like aha moment just now when I saw that images that those spaceship aircraft could be in our own eyes looks like a spaceship, but this also in etheric eyes, that would be another planet or another city, which is fascinating to me. Wow.
Well, this is Venusians operating and Confederation. They operate in space on many planets and moons, asteroids. They operate under the sea. The spacecraft, this typical scout ship is also submersible. It can travel under the ocean.
Mhm.
Annabelle wrote about social relations on the earth and the problems with juvenile delinquency and her suggestion for giving children a sense of identity and belonging in a meaningful community so that they wouldn't get involved with drugs and gangs. Very positive help from our interplanetary neighbors.
Mhm.
This was it's kind of funny. This was from the 1960s when they had the Dick Tracy comic strip about life on the moon, on cities on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put it in the book because a lot of it has to deal with the moon. But it's true that lunarians and inhabitants of the moon and other planets do have extrasensory powers. Not like necessarily like in the picture, but
Right, right. Well,
they do.
supposedly all of us as human, we're supposed to have all that power as well, from what I
Yes,
understood.
yes. One of the mission of the Venusians is to help us develop the powers that are latent within us.
Yes.
This is from the Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and you could see that part of the spaceship is cloaked or invisible while they make repairs. This is true with a lot of the Venusians and other ETs. Is they can cloak their ships, and so they could be right among us, and we wouldn't even know it. So once again, where science fiction parallels the actual reality of extraterrestrials and their technology. Annabelle learned a lot about the human aura
Uh-huh.
and how the extraterrestrials can detect the human aura and how they can manipulate it and work it to our betterment and in our health. And so this information is also in the book.
Mhm. Now, the picture earlier that you just put it down with the image of the human, I noticed the color blue and yellow or orange. Is there any sort of any meaning to represent those colors? The reason I'm asking because I sort of, understand about chakra system and color as well. So
Oh
that's kind
yes,
of, yeah.
yeah, they do have an advanced understanding of color therapy.
Uh-huh.
It is a real thing that the
Yeah.
colors that we surround ourselves with, and the colors that then there's colors that we emanate, and they all mean something. And references to where that information is and how you can get it is in the Venus Lady
Now,
Lambada book.
so let me ask you, Ray, because this, you may be aware of this as well. Um, does every one of us have one dominant color that we come in with? Because there seems to be a lot of talk about the blue rays or the blue color, and it seems like a lot of ETs like Palladians, Sirius, and maybe Arcturian, they're all blue beings, right? Color. So if we are as a star seed coming on this earth, does our aura come up as a blue color or different colors?
Oh yes, there are different emanations and hues, different colors that we manifest. Some in the some in the visible spectrum, and others not.
Mhm.
The spectrum, all the colors of the spectra are manifested in various beings, and it all means something. There's a special type of photography related to this.
Yes, the Curlin, something like that.
Yes, Kirlian photography.
Yeah,
And
I had that done before.
okay. So you
And
know a
mine's
little,
all blue. Yeah,
yeah, you know a little bit about it then.
yeah.
Um, so she describes this process and how it came about and what it means and everything, and why it's important to the Venusians. But it's technical. But it's in the book for people that want to know about it.
Oh, wow. I'm sure some of the audience who are interested in the chakras, color, and system would love to read about this.
So one of the
Mhm.
things that also is discussed is um, the Venusians being worried about militarization of the moon and the space race. And now there are other countries besides Russia and the United States that are going up to the moon.
Mhm.
And
China and Korea as well, right?
China, Korea, India. So they're
Mhm.
going to be quite concerned about maintaining the security of their colonies and installations. And this is discussed in the book as well. Certain places of the moon will be allowed Earthlings to colonize, as well as Mars, but other areas and other planets will be kept off limits.
So why are there more countries are going up to the moons now? What have are you aware if they have discovered anything like especially China, India? This has been
Oh,
going on for ages now, for a long time.
oh yes. Well, for even before we entered the space age, we knew about mysterious fires and lights and activities on the moon, structures on the lunar surface, and different kind of anomalies, radiation anomalies, and so forth that were detected on the side of the moon that we could see from the Earth. So
Mhm.
we know that there's alien activity up there. And
Mm.
in my fourth book, The Vast Venus Conspiracy, in the last chapters, I talk about the conspiracy to hide the truth about what's on the moon and what the astronauts really saw up there. and international conventions and protocols about the moon. And they're all discussed in the fourth book in the series, the one that we talked about the last week.
Yeah. So if any of you have not listened to Dr. Raymond's last video, please look it up. That was a week before. So I'm bringing Dr. Raymond here every week to talk about each one of his book. So you get an idea what each one of his book is all about. And we know whichever one that you're drawn to first, go and grab those books, because I know sometimes it's impossible. I mean, I wouldn't say impossible. We read one book at a time, you know. And so you can pick and choose which one you're drawn to the most. I was drawn to the first one because, I think a lot of people will be drawn to his first book on his first interview. Get a lot of people want to know what star seed they come from and who they are. And he has written that, about these star seeds, and you'll be able to figure out where you're from. And a lot of great information in the first interview and first book as well. So the link is under the description, guys. Go and grab that and read his first book. So let's continue with this one, Ray. You got this image up here. And what are these? It looks like a spaceship to me. Yeah.
Yes, these are different types of UFOs that have been reported, sizes and shapes of objects. And it was compiled by Gladys Fusaro of the UFO club in New York in the late 1950s and early 1960s. And so what Lady Columba did was coordinate with other women who had experiences with extraterrestrials or were involved with ufology, and collected their information so that it could pass it on to future generations where women weren't being recognized for all that they did in the field of ufology.
Speak of that, let me cut you up right here. Why women being suppressed for such a long time, Raymond? Are you aware of that? Even in the
I think it's Tina. I think it's a cultural thing in many of the societies on Earth.
Yes, it's a cultural thing for a long time, but way back from the origin of humanity, women used to be, in the hierarchy and respected. But for so many generations in every religion, I have to say every religion, even in Buddhist, women cannot be a monk, women cannot wear short, or if during her monthly, woman cannot go into a temple. The same is in Islam. Every religion seem to kind of bring the equality of women below. So I was wondering, even now, what you just talk about, she was not recognized as much as the male
Yes,
abductee.
I think some men feel threatened by the advancement and the potential that women have. And well, Lady Columba addresses these issues in the UFO and scientific community. She was talking about the big UFO conventions that were held at Giant Rock Airport out in the Southern California desert. And she commented on this sign that welcome Space Brothers. And she said that, that women are in space too. What do you mean space brothers?
Right. Yeah.
It should say welcome space friends.
Yeah.
To be correct about it, because in space it is a matriarchal society mostly on other planets, and they have a queen. It's patterned after a beehive. Pattern, the social matrix of these societies.
Yeah, this is fascinating. You're right about that. So let's go back to the last image that you have, Array. Different shape of the space aircraft. That's fascinating. How did they able to get this? Are they more than this shape? I mean, or the one that you have it up right now, that looks like maybe about 40 of them, 40 different types of spaceship.
Oh yes. Well, Gladys Fusaro was on the board of directors of the this New York Flying Saucer Club, And they worked with civilian saucer intelligence, which was a precursor to the famous NICAP. And her job was to catalog and the reports of UFOs, and to make make descriptions, draw descriptions of them, the different kind of objects and where they're from. So you see in the upper left-hand corner, for example, this
Yeah.
Venusian scout ship.
Wow. That actually looked like a city. Looks like a dome and looks like a city to me.
Oh
When
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And then the space platforms like the cities, of course. So this book tells you more about the space civilizations and the type of aircraft and spacecraft that they have than really in any other book. This is my friend Janet here on the left.
yeah. Mhm.
This was Ingrid Steckling of the George Adamski Foundation. For a while, she was the director of it. And there's the actual painting of the Venusian saucer pilot, Orthon.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God, that's a beautiful image there.
Oh yes, this is what higher dimensional worlds look like. This is an artist's conception.
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
like a paradisical world. And then Annabelle takes us on, this is the beginning of Annabelle takes us on a tour of ultra-dimensional worlds in and out of the space-time continuum. This is a picture of a monolith on a Martian moon.
Mhm.
Just like in 2001, A Space Odyssey, this is an actual monolith that was discovered.
I was gonna ask you, is that the actual picture? Because it looks like an actual image there.
Oh yes, yes, an actual photograph of a huge monolith on the surface of Phobos, a Martian moon.
Hmm. Is there like a close-up picture of that one, Raymond? Because I would love to see like what's on that stone, that piece of stone. Is that a stone there?
Yes, yes, it's a huge stone or a slab, could be metal,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but you see it. It does have a definitive sharp edges on it.
So this is on Mars, correct? You mentioned earlier.
Yes, it's on a Martian moon to be exact.
So Martian moon. So here you go. Again, there seem to be also now, especially like I think I may have asked you before. I'm not sure. Even Elon Musk trying to. That's the only planet that he wants to go. What is it about that planet that seems to be quite interesting right now to him, who spent billions of dollars to go there? And now you're showing me that slab of stone that's there.
Oh yeah, oh yes, because I believe he knows a lot more of what's going on, being a person in the know, in power, so to speak.
Hmm.
No, he knows that there's intelligent life out there, and he wants to be one of the first ones to go there. That's what I think.
Has your friend mentioned that what's going to happen or come out of this, space trip? Will there be a space trip, from Earth to all
Oh
these
yes, well
planets?
we'll all eventually progress to the point where we're traveling to space on a regular basis, and we'll have open knowledge of our extraterrestrial friends and neighbors. It's coming, but it's going to take a while. One of the things that they're concerned about is our advancement, our spiritual advancement. It needs to catch up or surpass our scientific advancement before we'll actually be admitted into that interplanetary confederation.
And when will that be? Do you know? Are you aware? I mean, has she mentioned the timeline to you?
Oh, yes. Well, one of the things is like in this picture here,
Uh-huh.
we have to get beyond. This is from the Blue Turtles album in the 1960s um, about the threat of nuclear war, and it was on that that song was "I hope the Russians love their children too."
Wow.
So
Wow.
we've got to get to the point where we're on good terms with all of our fellow human beings, and war is a thing of the past. That's one of the keys to being part of an intergalactic confederation. And then one of the things also that Lady Columba was saying is that
Hmm.
the canals on Mars are real. There are vast canyons, and there are cities in the lower parts of these canyons. There are water channels there on Mars. There is water
Whoa.
on the surface as well as in the soil. Um,
So
on
this is the image of Mars, right?
Yeah, yes, this is an actual map of Mars prepared by uh, uh, NASA and the Air Force back in 1962.
Wow, they even have names for each location.
And they had um, identified places on Mars where they believed that they could encounter life. Here's the Cydonia region up at the very top.
Yeah, I saw that. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And just like the moon, there's many structures and strange formations that have been observed on Mars by various space probes that went there.
So
In
the life on Mars, Raymond, are there more in etheric form, not in our 3D form, correct? Because apparently we can't see any human life there, just look in the image.
oh yes, well, we haven't got to the point where we've been able to observe with any more close-up intensity than the space probes that we've sent to the Martian surface, the rovers, and so
Mhm.
forth. But they have photographed structures. This one is a strange structure on the moon. It's like a mile and a half straight up. It's like a
Yeah.
tower. And it was photographed by the Zond 3 Soviet space probe as well as the American Apollo mission.
Uh-huh.
I should also say that on one of the Russian probes to Phobos, there was this Russian spaceship, and it space probe, it was destroyed. It it got too close to Phobos, and it took a picture of what appeared to be a mothership,
Wow.
an
Wow.
extraterrestrial mothership of some kind. And when the Russians tried to bring the space probe closer to get a more detailed picture, then it blinked out. It's like that. It's like they destroyed it. Half,
Man.
half of the missions that have gone to Mars, the spacecraft haven't come back, or they've been somehow mysteriously lost or even destroyed.
Wow. So obviously they didn't want us to interfere them.
Yes. Well, Venus is protected with a very thick cloud layer.
Wow.
How
Wow.
do you see anything?
I mean, that looks like I mean, it's not quite clear right now, but it's interesting, just have something stick out like that on that flat surface. I mean, not flat, but, just empty surface. It looks like a body of the human with the tummy, right?
uh,
Yeah, I mean, look
yeah,
at that.
it's like a twisting like a corkscrew kind of looking tower.
Right, right. You can look at it that way too. That's
Well,
fascinating. Oh,
you know,
okay.
in Dante's Divine Comedy, he goes with his beloved Beatrice to visit the moon and other planets. When he went to Venus, he found a paradisical world inhabited by angels. And
Wow.
he writes about it in the third and ninth canto of Il Paradiso. But there's also a section there where he visits the moon and he sees people from Earth that are living on the moon, on a base on the moon.
Wow. No way.
So he wrote about that, as did Emanuel Swedenborg and others in the past, about the moon and other planets being inhabited by beings that look like us.
Okay. I was gonna ask that may not be human, but looks like human.
So this is Annabelle Krebs, and Alexander, her Russian boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
through many different aspects or manifestations of the higher self going forward in time. This was called cosmic aspects. This is a self-portrait here of Annabelle and her Russian friend.
Mm. I say this would be like a twin flame, correct?
Yes, yeah, twin flame.
Right. That's what most people wants to know about as well. What do you know about twin flame, Raymond? Have they talked about this stuff? Because this subject seems to be also quite popular, among the listeners as well, among human.
Oh yes. Well, I should say that the heart is very expansive and can encompass um, many people. It's not necessarily limited, but you can have what in the Middle Ages they called the beloved. You could have a beloved one that you're so close that you're literally a twin flame. Your spirit is so intertwined with that individual.
Mm.
So that, yes, that is possible, but the human heart has an infinite capacity to love. So it's not necessarily limited to one individual, but it could be so intensely focused on another that you do have a twin flame.
I see. And is it true that this is a time now that all twin flames are connecting because it's the last incarnation or because of the ascension time? Are
Oh,
you aware of that? Mhm.
uh, yes, you may have gone through many incarnations with a certain individual,
Mhm.
and you're both transitioning to the next highest level. You're going together. Yes, that's very possible.
Okay. So now let's look at the images here that you pull up.
Okay. Well, what Annabelle wants us to know, or Lady Columba, what she wants us to know is that the moon is inhabited, and she talks about all the wonders on the moon and the history of life on the moon and so forth. And I thought this was an interesting quote from the Buddha, that three things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth.
Nice.
So that I love the picture with the moon and the
You
moon.
know, it's funny that the word the sun, the moon, and the true, when you said that, immediately it got me to look at it in metaphysically, as the sun as a masculine, the moon is a feminine, and the true is like the consciousness or all that is.
Oh yes, and wouldn't you say that it's very interesting that, I'm just speaking poetically here,
Yeah.
but the moon is out there. The moon doesn't generate any light of its own, but it reflects the glory of the sun.
Yes. Wow.
It's,
That's
it's a
beautiful.
it's a reflector.
We never thought about that, right? This is interesting.
Yes, I mean,
Fascinating.
and so that's one thing that we can be as humans, as human beings, is reflectors of the divine light of the Creator.
That's beautiful. Wow. Well, that looks like an amazing book to look at as well. I mean, all those images that you've shown are fascinating, Ray. You
Oh
know?
yes, there's many more, and I guess we can cover it on a second part to
Absolutely. Oh
the
yeah, we can do that. We can do next week on
Venus
the second part.
revelations, because
Yeah,
we're about halfway through them. I'm just going to go to show you a quick
sure. So guys, doctor, for those who are on the podcast listener, those who are listening, you may, you're not able to see the images. He has brought up so many amazing images that actually will give you that aha moment. It's like, for some reason, when I'm watching all these images, I have to tell you at this moment, I just kind of got that awakening, awareness at this moment right now by looking. Images are so powerful. And when I'm looking at all these images that he just shown, I just go, oh my God, aha, like I just got some downloads. How about that? So this is fascinating. So I highly recommend that. Never seen all this, I mean, images before because I never got to see, oh my God, look at that images here. Wow, he's flashing
we'll
through.
go over and I'll explain what all of these are, about in the next exciting
Okay.
episode.
Great, great. And you may not know, I'll be interviewing Dr. Raymond every week to just kind of go over, his work on his books and all these drawings. I have to say his drawing is actually very unique. It's not something that you would see on regular papers. And symbolically, when we're looking at it, I think this has an intention for those starseed who are looking at this picture or reading his book to get this awakening awareness and knowledge as I just did right now. Just now, I just felt like, whoa. For instance, like the spaceship. I mean, that's right away. I'm like, oh my God, that's another city, and we didn't see that with our own physical eyes. Just fascinating, Raymond.
And she goes into the realm of phantoms and ghosts, and I mean, it's really.
Really? Okay. I'm sure a lot of people too would love to know about the Ghost and the Phantom too, because this we don't have much. I mean, there's been a lot of people love to follow and watch that.
She looks at culture and religion. She looks at the secret space program in both Russia and the US, what was really going on. And then UFO encounters in Ohio, and
The
uh,
Pope.
Russian Orthodox Church and the connection there. Ascended masters on Venus and sending avatars to Earth. This
Wow.
is Lady Columba's drawing.
Wow. So this is what she talks about on your book. Okay.
Yes.
So you're gonna elaborate on these images next week.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Wow, that looks so fun and fascinating, right? I mean, when we look at the title of the book, it's like, oh, okay, well, doesn't seem to be like, okay, well, people don't know about it. This is Lady Columba, #4, Venus, Revelation. That's the name of the book, which I'm going to post the link underneath the description here, guys. And you have seen, for those who are on YouTube or on Rumbles or on any kind of video, you can see all the images that he just showed, and that's quite fascinating. Did you get like this aha awakening moment like I just did earlier when you saw some of these images? Post comments here because I sure did. I'm like, oh my God, like I shared earlier, the spaceship, that's actually could be representation of another world, another reality. It's existing right here at the same place, same time with us. We just cannot see with the physical eyes, because we're in the third dimension. But they're all around us, all over, right by
Yes,
us.
this is a very peaceful and loving woman and book, and you'll be able to experience what it's like to not only travel to other worlds, but to live and work on them as well.
How did it, what did it feel like, Ray, for you? This is my last question to you. For you to connect it with this being and get all this drawing and information in such a detail, it must be like a huge eye opening for you, or like really one side of it could be like, God, this is kind of hard to believe, you know, but another side of it is like to have proof of it, and this is like, wow, this is real, and for you to write this book.
Oh yes, and what was interesting is that I was given clues to where scientific research is being conducted today to validate everything that Lady Columbus said back in the late 1950s and early 60s.
Ah, since you are historians, so they need to give you
Yes.
some, they need to give you some facts to matches what they were, telling
So
you.
I know it's not science fiction, it's science fact.
That's right. That's right. You need to have some sort of proof as a professor. Wow, this is amazing. Well, guys, post comments and you can actually, let us know which images that Dr. Raymond just shown you that you just got that. Wow, like you got something out of it. And I do believe that all this drawing also will be a part of activation as well, because I mean, I just kind of felt something when I watched some of those images. And there you go. It's like, whoa, another kind of understanding just kind of downloaded to me just now. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So thank you so much, Raymond, for all this information.
Well,
Next
thank
week.
you. And on behalf of Lady Columba, thank you as well. I'm just so happy that I have a part in bringing her important message to the people of Earth in this generation.
Well, this is amazing, amazing. Like, I'm glad that we talk about this because I had no idea what this book was all about. And then when you show all this, I'm like, oh, I haven't finished number one yet. So I think when I get this one.
So, Tina, when you look at other UFO books, it's just cataloging lights in the sky.
Yeah,
But this is telling you what's out there, what's really going on.
exactly. It's such a
In
detail.
a very interesting and engaging way also.
Yeah, correct. It's so fascinating. Thanks for your amazing work. This is all this beautiful sun are like glaring right into my face here. You can see all this.
Oh, thank
My
you. Yeah,
aura.
I see the light all over you now.
Can you see that? This is so funny. It's like a finger
Yeah, we
just
were just
grabbing my
talking
face.
about being a reflector of the glory of the sun and the light.
Isn't that funny? You just say that, and this is the first time that it's actually happening to
And
me
here
on
it's
this
happening.
talk.
It's happening to you.
It's so crazy. What a coincidence.
Right now, you're surrounded with these rays of light going all around you.
Yeah, because you know what? I mean, through all these interviews, hundreds. I've done over 100 interviews, and this is the very first time I have this reflection of the reflection of the light glaring right into my face. Right after we just talk about that, and moon represents female. So this is crazy. I'm like, oh my God, it's like, and this never ever happened. And this is like 6 a.m. here, so this is really funny. And perhaps this is the confirmation, guys. So guys, don't forget to share this video if you enjoy it. Post your comments, or, you got any questions for Dr. Raymond, post that, especially about this one. Don't forget to grab this book, because especially those who are listening on a podcast, I mean, these images are like, wow. And I do believe it's wake you up, because like I said again and again, more than 3 times perhaps, it did something to me. And amazing links underneath, go there, click like, subscribe, share this video. Raymond, shall talk to you next week on the second part of this book. I cannot wait.
Thank you, dear friend Tina. Next week, same time, same channel.
Same time, same channel. My dear Cosmic Ray, thank you for your wisdom, your time, knowledge. Until then, next video. Bye, guys.
I know.
Thank you. Yes. Bye now.